Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for the sweet kirtan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayet Srinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hudantasto hi abhadrani vidunnoti suhutsatam nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttamasloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. So we are reading today Canto 8, Withdrawal of the Cosmic Creation, Chapter 14, The System of Universal Management, Text 5. Tato dharmam chatuspadam Tato dharmam chatuspadam Manavo harinodita Manavo harinodita Yukta sancharyantya adha Yukta sancharyantya adha Sve sve kale mahim nrupa Sve sve kale mahim nrupa Tato dharmam chatuspadam Manavo harinodita Yukta sancharyantya Sve sve kale mahim nrupa. Chatuspadam No Avidoditaham Tasanchancharyantyaddham Tato Dharmam Chatuspadam Manavo Haridotitam Sittasancharya Dadam Vite Kale Madinrupam Tato Dharmam Chatuspadam Manavo Harinoditam Ancharidoditam Sve Sve Kale Mahinrupam. Yet, word to word meaning, translation, purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Tataha, thereafter, at the end of Kali Yuga, Dharmam, the religious principle, Chatupadam, in 4 parts, Manavaha, all the Manus, Harina, by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Udita, being instructed, Yukta, being engaged, Sancharyanti, re-establish, Addha, directly, Sve Sve, in their own, Kale, time, Mahim, within this world, Nrupa, O King. Translation. Thereafter, O King, response please. Thereafter, O King, the Manus, being fully engaged according to the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Personality of God, directly re-establish the principles of occupational duty in its full 4 parts. Purport. Dharma or occupational duty can be established in its full 4 parts as explained in Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Imam vivasito yogam proktavan aham avyayam vivaswan manave praha manur ikshvake bravit. I instructed the imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivaswan, and Vivaswan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. This is the process of disciplic succession. Following the same process, the Krishna conscious movement is teaching the principles of Bhagavad Gita as it is, without deviation, all over the world. If the fortunate people of this time accept the instructions of Lord Krishna, they will certainly be happy in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted everyone, at least in India, to become a preacher of this mission. In other words, one should become a guru and preach the Lord's instructions all over the world for the peace and prosperity of humanity. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande paramananda madhavam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has the form of Satchitananda Vigraha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Him who turns the dumb into eloquent speakers and enables the lame to cross mountains. Such is the mercy of the Lord. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yeah, my apologies. I brought my incorrect glasses and I'm having difficulty to read. Sorry? Yeah, thank you. So thereafter, O king, the Manus, being fully engaged according to the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, directly re-establishes the principles of occupational duty in its 4 parts. So in order to understand what these 4 parts are, the occupational duty in its full 4 parts, any suggestion what it could be? Varnashrama dharma, yeah, it's possible. Anything else? Sorry? 4 pillars of dharma. How do we know that? It's 4 pillars of dharma. Yeah, if you read the purport of the previous text number 4, there we find that in this verse, the text number 4 purport, in this verse the word dharma and sanatana are very important. Sanatana means eternal and dharma means occupational duty. From Satya Yuga to Kali Yuga, the principles of religion and occupational duty gradually deteriorate. In Satya Yuga, the religious principles are observed in full without deviation. In Treta Yuga, however, these principles are somewhat neglected and only 3/4 of religious duties continue. In Dwapara Yuga, only half of the religious principles continue, and in Kali Yuga, only 1/4 of the religious principles which gradually disappear. So that's how we understand that the 5th verse, when it talks about the 4 parts, in full 4 parts, it tries to indicate that it is the 4 pillars of religion. And what are they? Yeah. Yes. And mercy. Yeah, so these are the 4 parts, and out of these 4 parts, which is somewhat remaining in this yuga? Only truthfulness. And the rest of them have gone, they are not there. And even truthfulness, how many of us are truthful, especially when we are placed in crisis, reflects the character of the person. When we are in normal good self, we may say Haribol, but when we are really put to test, then the time when the honesty of the person surfaces. And it doesn't matter who that person is. That person could be a non-devotee, the person could be a devotee in the beginning, or a person could be even who has taken Diksha. When they are put to test, then that's the time when we know whether the person is speaking or is having the guts to speak truth at that time. And my experience shows that it is negligible, or it is very rare that when a person is put to test, has the honesty to say, yes, I have committed the mistake, I take it. Now, so Prabhupada, in the end, he says, in other words, one should become a guru and preach the Lord's instruction all over the world for the peace and prosperity of humanity. And how to overcome or how to re-establish these four principles, that how do we do that? So Prabhupada says that Imam Vaivasto Yogam Proktavan Aham Avyayam. So he is tracing back to the Parampara. And Parampara is spoken in 4th chapter. The personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna said, first verse, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivaswan, and Vivaswan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind. And Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. 2. The supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. So therefore, we have to receive the instruction in disciplic succession, and only then that we are that we know that we are receiving the authorized version of the scripture. And to receive that and to overcome the four pillars which are being neglected, to re-establish them, what is that one needs to do? So therefore we have in 6.3, it is 1.2.6, the series of verses, 2 to 3 verses, it says that 1.2.6, Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adoksaje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidhati. The supreme occupation for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So one should perform the devotional service to Adhoksaja, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or say that the supreme dharma, the occupational duty as mentioned in this verse, is to perform bhakti. So we start with the sadhana bhakti, and then that ends in prema bhakti. Yeah, prema bhakti. So this is what is the occupational duty of every individual. And who is giving this answer? And for what question this answer is being given? For what question that answer was given? Who raised that question? Because these were the questions raised by in Naimisharanya to Suta Goswami. And who raised the question? Shaunaka Rishi. And Shaunaka Rishi was representing the sages who have assembled in Naimisharanya. And that was the culture then. It's not that everyone raises the hand and they say, well, we ask the question. So Shaunaka Rishi was representing the rishis assembled there, and he was raising the questions on their behalf. And what was the question to which this answer was given? What is the essence of the entire literature, Vedic literature, and what is the duty that a person should perform? Because in this verse we find that what is the occupational duty that needs to perform in order to restore back the four parts of the religious aspect. So therefore the question raised by Shaunaka in 5, I have been justly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. So that was a question raised by Shaunaka Rishi, that what is the essence? And Sutta Goswami is very happy to reply in response to that question. And the reply starts with this, that the supreme dharma of all humanity is to perform sadhana bhakti. This is Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur very clearly says that the supreme dharma for all human beings is sadhana bhakti, is that by which prema bhakti to the Lord arises, which is not caused by anything other than itself, cannot be abstracted, and which satisfies the mind completely. So what is our duty we need to perform? We simply have to perform sadhana bhakti, or we have to perform the navabhava bhakti, which is the shravanam kirtanam. If we can do that, then the rest of the life can revolve around that. But unfortunately, what we tend to do is that we ignore that part and then we do rest of it. We don't do the sadhana bhakti, but we do everything else. So therefore, Prabhupada in that verse, he talks about the pravritti marg and the nivritti marg. And the majority of the population takes to pravritti marg, that tries to satisfy these senses. But by satisfying the senses, that's not going to give the required happiness to the soul, because you are trying to seek happiness externally. The happiness is there because we are all, as spirit souls, Satchitananda. Ananda is with us. It's not that we need to search for outside, but then we try to search. So therefore, in Mana Siksha, Raghunath Goswami says that there are two baskets. One is an external basket and other is an internal basket. And the external basket has got the wealth, the property, money, and all the other pleasures of this material world. And the internal basket has got the sadhana bhakti or sadhana bhakti related aspects. So where are we between these two baskets? Are we seeking the external basket or are we seeking internal basket? And that determines whether the person is going to be happy and peaceful or the person is in search of the glitters of the external basket. And at least in my context, I can say that before coming to Krishna consciousness, my consciousness was only on the external basket. I think many a time I must have said from this asana that I'm from Hyderabad, south of India, and the Hare Krishna temple, Radha Madan Mohan temple in Hyderabad, is one of the few temples Srila Prabhupada himself has established. And that temple is about 3 kilometers from where I stay. And every day I would take my son and daughter, Abhishek and Sweta, to school. And I'd reach the Hare Krishna temple, but just opposite Hare Krishna temple is the right turn. And on the left side is Hare Krishna temple with the big board, Radha Madan Mohan. But I never took the left turn. It was always the right turn, because the right turn takes to my children's school. Every day, it's not for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. So long we were in Hyderabad, I used to take them every day in the morning to the school, drop them and come back. But I never took a left turn. And that left turn I took only when I came to Melbourne. So much so that I had seen Srila Prabhupada back in 1975 in a Pandal program in Hyderabad. I've heard Srila Prabhupada for an hour in Hyderabad. It's only my eyes that have seen Srila Prabhupada, but my ears did not hear properly. So although 1975, I have seen Srila Prabhupada and heard his lecture in Pandal program, but it's only in 1998, so 75 to 1998, when I came to Melbourne, that's the time when I started associating with devotees and the change took place, or the left turn took place. And 1998, August, I still remember the date, I don't remember. That was the first time that I chanted 16 rounds. And since then, my sadhana is continuing. So if you're all here and chanting and practicing bhakti, the sadhana bhakti, it's only because we have come in contact with a devotee who is in the disciplic succession. If you are not coming in contact with the devotee in disciplic succession, we won't be here, especially on a Saturday morning in the temple hearing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. There are other things which are more attractive to the normal person, because that is what his external basket is. So by doing this sadhana bhakti, what is that we are going to gain? So that 1.27, it says that if you devote yourself to the service of Krishna, you will get perfect knowledge and renunciation. And what is that? Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Asu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yad Ahaitikam. So by doing this sadhana bhakti, what we get is not only the prema bhakti end, but in the meantime, you are serving the Lord by rendering devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. One immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. So the misery of this world we embrace by being in touch with the material world, by identifying ourselves as the material body. As you all know that we exist at three different layers. One is the Sthula Sharira, the second is the Sukshma Sharira, and the third is the Adhyatmika Sharira, or the gross body, the subtle body, and the spiritual body. So long I identify myself with the gross body and the subtle body, then I'm only embracing the miseries of this life. But Prabhupada here is saying, all over for the peace and prosperity of humanity. So for the peace and prosperity of humanity, I should be existing on the spiritual platform by taking shelter of the spiritual energy. And this is the only choice we have in life. Whether am I taking shelter of the material energy, or am I taking shelter of spiritual energy? To take shelter of spiritual energy, I should take shelter of a spiritual master coming in disciplic succession. If my free will I can exercise by taking that particular step, then the rest of the path is clear to me, that I'm on the safe journey of returning back home, back to Godhead. It may happen in this lifetime, or it may happen subsequent lifetimes, but at least I'm on the boat of Krishna consciousness, and in this boat my journey is assured. So therefore, even during the troublesome period, one should not jump out of this boat. The boat may be swinging up and down, or it may be in turbulent water, but still one should not jump out of the boat and stay in that boat. By just staying in the boat, associating the devotees, performing our sadhana bhakti, you are assured of returning back home, back to Godhead, or you are purifying your consciousness. And anyone who is able to purify his or her consciousness can become the Guru. So therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted everyone, at least in India, to become a preacher of this mission. And who can become a preacher? Only when the person himself is pure or making an attempt to purify oneself. And how does one become pure? By chanting this one Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing Krishna Katha. At the same time, Nectar of Instruction, the very first verse says something. What is that? Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam. So therefore, the urges should be controlled. The urges should be regulated. And only that person can become a guru. So we often say that I've been telling people to Krishna Katha, but they don't respond. And in that we try to shift the blame to the other party, that although I've spoken to the other party so many times, the other person is not becoming a devotee. But we don't realize that fault is not just lying on the other party, but it's with me, because I'm not pure enough to touch the heart of the other person. I'm not praying enough to the deities, to the Lordship, to see that, well, please use me as your instrument. We think that I am the doer. Still that I comes there, and so long I feel that I am the doer, the other person will never become a devotee. Because my ahankar comes there. And when that I is there, what is that verse in Bhagavad Gita which talks about it? Prakrute kriyamanani gune karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimodhatma kartaham iti manyate. So the person thinks that he is doing, but what is that the person is doing? He is a puppet. There is a puppeteer. And as a puppet, we are asked to do, go to sleep, we go to bed. Eat, we go eat. And there are so many activities the material nature forces upon us, and we tend to do it. And I think that I'm doing it. Although it's the nature which is forcing us, because we are only puppets. So we should shift our consciousness from being a puppet of material nature to a puppet of spiritual energy. If I can make that shift, then I become the instrument of my Guru, Srila Prabhupada and Parampara. And as an instrument, we try to share Krishna Katha or Krishna consciousness with others, then it becomes potent. Because no longer you are working, it's not my ahankar which is working, but I'm being used as an instrument, and that instrument has the capability of sharing Krishna Katha or invoking the spiritual energy of that individual entity, because it is not my ability, it is the parampara which empowers the person. So our consciousness should be whether am I a puppet in the hands of material energy, or am a puppet in the hands of spiritual energy. We have no choice, we are a puppet, because by nature, or we are so tiny, we are conditioned soul. Conditioned soul means that we are tiny and covered. And because we are tiny, or Krishna Prabhupada says that we are marginal energy, we need to be under the shelter of either material energy or spiritual energy. So if you are in the shelter of material energy, we become Vimodhatma. And if we are in the shelter of spiritual energy, then we become the instrument of the Parampara, the spiritual master. And therefore, that message can reach to the recipients. So here Prabhupada said, if fortunate people of this time accept the instructions of Lord Krishna, they'll be certainly be happy in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. So it is our duty as inheriting the richness of Krishna consciousness from Srila Prabhupada that we need to share the Krishna Katha with others. And this is our duty. And especially Prabhupada says that at least in India, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also confirming that wanted at least in India to become a preacher of this mission. This is our dharma, this is our duty. To the extent we take this seriously in our life, to that extent we become successful in the mission. Because we are following the instruction of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada has shown the compassion, and that compassion we need to show to the others because we have received compassion from others. If we have not received compassion from others, we wouldn't be here. And I can give my own experience in that regard. I had said this once earlier also, that we had a big clinic in Hyderabad. And my father was a professor in botany department of Swami University, but he took a voluntary retirement and became a homeopathy doctor. And he was so successful as a homeopathy doctor that people were coming from all walks of life. And I still remember two devotees who used to come regularly to my father to take medicine. One gentleman was Krishna, our own neighbor. And another person was the Banaras Hindu University Vice Chancellor's wife. They were all devotees in ISKCON. But they never shared Krishna Katha. They never shared Krishna Katha. And that was a failure on their part to have not shared Krishna Katha. If they had shared Krishna Katha with us, possibly I won't be here. Because Radha Madan Mohan temple is such a beautiful temple. Just as we do not want to leave Radha Vallabha temple, we wouldn't be leaving that temple as well. It's so beautiful. So although they had inherited such rich spiritual Krishna consciousness, but they never shared with others. They were chanting, and in fact the Banaras Hindu University Vice Chancellor's daughter, she married a full-fledged devotee from America, and then she shifted to US. So the whole family was dedicated, was in Krishna consciousness. But they did not function as instruments of Srila Prabhupada or as Gurumpara, and therefore, in that respect, they failed in their duty. So today, we also, if we do not share Krishna Katha with others, then we will be failing in our duty as a representative of Srila Prabhupada, as a representative of our Guru Maharaj. So let's not commit that mistake as those two devotees have done in the past. That we must share, whatever is our ability, we need to, we need to share. But otherwise, and if you do not develop God consciousness and equally facilitate the God consciousness to develop others, what is the consequence? It says 1.2.8, Dharma swanista pumsam Vishvakshena Katasuyaha Nat Padayat Yadi Ratim Shama Eva Hi Kevalam. The occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction to the message of the personality of Godhead. So whatever duty, whatever activity we are performing, if that does not invoke the attraction to Adhoksacha or the lotus feet of Radha Vallabha, and equally we do not facilitate others to take to Krishna consciousness, then whatever we are doing, it says, is a useless labor. It's a waste of time. I can see that in the street where I was living in Hyderabad, it was, I think, 10 properties, that street. None of them today they're alive. Not a single person with whom I had spent time, none of them is alive in that street. And all the properties have been demolished and they went for multi-story flats. And today nobody remembers who the landowners were previously. Although born and brought up in Vedic culture, but they never took to Krishna consciousness. They were all highly well-placed individuals. I think that whole street, most of them were professors in the university, and the rest of them were business people. And none of them took to Krishna consciousness. So therefore, in these verses, it is Shrama eva hi kevalam. Whatever they have done is a useless waste of labor, because they have not developed Krishna consciousness, nor did they facilitate their children to develop Krishna consciousness. Our neighbor Gopal Krishna is a well-known pediatrician, and beautiful name, Gopal Krishna, but yet he left his body in deep unconscious state without any connection to the Supreme Lord. And so also the rest of them. So let us not commit that mistake of not taking to Krishna consciousness seriously, and at the same time not sharing Krishna Katha with others. And if we can share this, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted everyone, at least in India, to become a preacher of this mission. In other words, one should become a guru and preach the Lord's instruction all over the world for the peace and prosperity of humanity. The real prosperity is what? What is the real prosperity of an individual? Yeah, it's Krishna consciousness. Nothing else. Whatever wealth somebody may have, it has no value at the deathbed. There are billionaires, and the last moment when they were leaving, I think one of them, who is that person? Who is a stockbroker in India, well-known stockbroker. When at the time he was leaving, he had some 40,000 crores. I forget his name. Yeah. 40,000 crores he had, but he was lamenting. And at the last moment, what did he do on the last day when he was departing from this world? He went to his office, he made a bet on few of the stocks and took some coffee and left the body. Just imagine the consciousness of a person having earned more than 40,000 crores and he was about to leave the body, and what that person is doing is betting few shares and had a cup of coffee and left the body. So what is the value of that 40,000 crores? Compared to that, a person who has chanted all through his life and leaves the body in Krishna consciousness, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tijate ante kalevaram. The person is returning back home, back to Godhead. So the true wealth is Krishna consciousness. And the true charity is to share Krishna consciousness with others. Yeah, so following the same process, the Krishna conscious movement is teaching the principles of Bhagavad Gita as it is, without deviation, all over the world. So therefore, without deviation, if one wants to give Krishna consciousness to others, is to follow the disciplic succession, as Prabhupada quotes, Imam Ivasate Yogam. So follow the disciplic succession, share Krishna Katha with others, thus facilitate others to be successful, and equally you be successful or we be successful. And today is also an auspicious day of Gopastami. And we'll just spend a few minutes on Gopastami. What is this month called? Why is it called Kartik? It should be Damodara month, isn't it? Is it Kartik or Damodar month? Yeah, it is both. That's the beauty of Vedic culture, that in Vedic tradition, we speak in terms of, this is the Kartik month. That is, I don't know, whether in Telugu we used to say Phalguna, Chaitra, Vaishakha, Jyeshta. How many of you know such names? I don't think so. Anyone knows that name? Wow, very good. So at least there are a couple of you who know them. I don't know them. I don't remember the name. Only as a child we used to do it, but after that we have forgotten. What we know is only January, February, March, and so on. But the Vaishnava calendar talks in terms of every month, in terms of Vaishnava names only. Govinda, Vishnu, Madhusudana, Trivikrama. So June to July, Vamana. July to August, Sridhara. August to September, Hrishikesha. September to October, Padmanabha. And October to November, Damodara. So therefore the life revolves around thinking of the Lord. Even if somebody says, what month is this? Then you talk in terms of the Lord's name. And the names also were given only by the Lord's name, going by the pastime of Ajamila. So we find that all my cousins' names are like Narayana, Hare, and so on. So therefore, directly or indirectly, they are reminding us of the Supreme Lord. And we have a friend here, his name is Padmanabham. Such a beautiful name. Somebody who's having the navel of the lotus navel. So it represents the Lord Vishnu. But he said that his office colleagues do not know how to call him, and they wanted him to give him a short name, and he gives us Paddy. Can you just imagine? He could have said that, well, whether you like it or not, you still call me Padmanabhan. That way they would have benefited and he too would have benefited. But now every time somebody asks him what's his name, he says Paddy. So therefore he is also thinking, I'm Paddy, 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 Paddy. Now this is the consciousnus of the current world. So therefore in Kartika Mahatmya, it says, Suklashtami Kartiketu Smrita Gopashtami Budhe Tad Dinat Vasudevo Bud Gopa Purvam Tu Vatsapa. The 8th lunar day of the bright fortnight of the month of Kartika is known by authorities as Gopashtami. And from this day, Lord Vasudeva served as a cowherd, whereas previously he tended the calves. So the 10.15.1, I'll not read the Sanskrit, I'll read the English. When Lord Rama and Krishna attained the age of Pauganda, that is 6 to 10, while living in Vrindavan, the cowherd men allowed them to take up the task of tending the cows. Engaging thus in the company of their friends, the two boys rendered the land of Vrindavana most auspicious by imprinting upon it the marks of their lotus feet. So therefore there are 3 stages of the Lord in terms of the time span. The first 5 years is called? First 5 years is called? Kaumara. And the next 5 years? Pauganda. And the next 5 years? Kaishora. And then, after Kaishora, Yavanam. So therefore, Brahma Samhita says, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam Adhyam Purana Purusham Navayavanam Cha. So he always remains as Yavanam. And so till then, Krishna was tending calves. And he said that his friends used to tease him, you have grown so big and still you are tending only calves. And on this day, I believe Krishna slept. He said he didn't want to get up because everyone was teasing him. But in the background, we find Mother Yashoda, Nanda Baba, they're taking this as an event to facilitate Balram and Krishna to tend the cows. So they have to perform anything, any auspicious activity in Vedic culture is to please the Supreme Lord, perform puja to the Supreme Lord. So they were making arrangements to perform the puja to the Supreme Lord, and Krishna was sleeping. He didn't want to get up from the bed. And then Mother Yashoda, I believe, comes to him and whispers into ears, from today you are going to take care of cows. And then immediately he gets up from the bed and says, wow, I've become big now. Now my friends are not going to tease me anymore. So therefore, I've been given the charge to take care of cows. And it is considered to be typically a man's activity, or only boys and men are supposed to be taking part in this function. And the gopis were not allowed. Srimati Radharani was not allowed. So therefore, but still she wanted to take part in it. And it is said that Srimati Radharani resembles Subhala Sakak. So therefore, she puts on the garments of Subhala and participates in the function. And hence, today is a day when Srimati Radharani and other gopis wear the dress of Gopas. And devotees look forward to this day in some parts of ISKCON where Srimati Radharani's lotus feet is visible. So by evening, I'm sure we'll be receiving pictures from Mayapur and Krishna Balram temple where Srimati Radharani's lotus feet becomes visible. Although our Radha Vallabha, Radharani's lotus feet is not visible because I believe there is an instruction from GBC that Radharani's lotus feet should not be shown. But still Mayapur and Krishna Balram temple, they show Radharani's lotus feet, but our temple does not give the permission to see lotus feet of Radharani. It is said that when Krishna was given the charge to take care of cows, Mother Yashoda tried to give him shoes. But did he take the shoes? He said, no. Until you give shoes to all my cows, only then I'll do it. So, how did cows respond to that? They said, oh, okay, Krishna is not wearing shoes, but his feet are so soft and his feet should not be hurt. So therefore, they were in the front, and how many cows were there? 900,000 cows, almost close to 1 million cows. So they would walk in the front and break all the stones along the way to fine powder. Not only they break the stones into fine powder, but out of their love, they would naturally, the milk will flow from the udder. So not only the stones become fine powder, but also become wet and soft, so that it's cool to the lotus feet of Krishna. So Krishna's feeling towards them, the cows reciprocate by powdering the area, the stones along the path, and equally making it cool and soft. And Garga Samhita says that even today, the lotus feet, the footprints of the Lord are visible in Vrindavan. And someone who is fortunate to see that step, what happens? That person returns back home, back to Godhead. But just having the darshan of the lotus print of Lord Krishna's feet, the person is going to return back home, back to Godhead. So therefore, people tend to go there and they even roll on the first time. Has anyone, when you went to first time to Vrindavan, what did you do? Yeah, we bow down and we roll on the floor, on the ground, so that the dust of Vrindavan smears our body. So also in Mayapur. But our first experience, the moment we got out of the car or the taxi in the hotel, then two monkeys jumped on Nirmala Krishna. Because she was carrying the purse, and then two monkeys jumped on her and they were trying to pull the purse. She got scared. So even before she started rolling on the floor, that's what has happened to her. And some devotees also recite on this day this particular mantra, Agrataha Shantu Me Gavo. Maybe you can also repeat. Agrataha Shantu Me Gavo. Shantu Me Gavo. Gavo Me Shantu Prastataha. Wo Me Shantu Prastataha. Gavo me parshvata shantu, gavo me parshvata shantu, gavam madhye vasamyaham, gavam madhye vasamyaham. May cows stay in front of me, may cows stay behind me, may cows stay on both sides of me, may I always reside in the midst of cows. So this is the prayer. On this day, it is recited by devotees in certain temples. And in Bhagavatam 11.11.43 to 45, it says that Krishna says, I can be worshipped within the cows by offering of grass and other suitable grains and paraphernalia for the pleasure and health of the cows. So by simply giving cows fine grass, and I think most of the devotees, when they go to Hare Krishna Valley, they tend to give some jaggery or chana dal soaked in water so that the cows become pleased, and in the process you are pleasing Krishna. Anyone remembers the names of the cows? One name? Sorry? Yeah, Pingala. Prabhu, you said? Mata, you said something? Kamadhenu is a general name, but typically it is said that Mangala, Pingala, Ganga, Pisangi, Manikastani, Hamsi, Vamshipriya. So at least if you remember the names of devotees, you can remember the names of cows. Because Vamshipriya must be a name of a devotee, so therefore you can remember the name. Ganga, we can remember. Mangala, yeah, Pingala. So at least few names we should remember so that somebody asks, well, Krishna remembers 900,000 names of the cows, but we should remember at least 5-6 names of the cows. It is said that Krishna plays the flute, and when Krishna plays the flute, from the flute, all the 900,000 names of the cows are heard, so therefore they respond and they say, okay, we are not the time for us to return back home. So they all come back to Vrindavan. But look at the culture we are living. Instead of worshipping the cows, we send them to slaughterhouses. And it is sad that India exports one of the largest meat to the global so-called economy. Although Vedic culture is born and brought up there, but still this is what is happening. Including in Vrindavan and other places, cow slaughter takes place. Although the current government tries to make some amendment, but it's not happening at a scale at which this can be stopped. And we should be grateful to one family in Melbourne which is giving protection to the cows and providing milk which is so conducive for our consciousness. And that family is Gaurav Prabhu and Neha Mataji. They are doing such wonderful service and all of us should support them by buying their milk and equally telling others to purchase their milk. Yeah, on this note, I think we'll stop. It's 9:05. Any questions, any comments?
Recall when you were telling me about Krishna called for the place is called Hare.
Sorry?
Hare.
Okay, calling. Okay, thank you. There is, which is that place? Recently we received a video clipping where every day morning they take the attendance of the cows. In Europe, which is that place where they have the farm? Sorry? Yeah. In that place they have, I believe every day they take attendance for the cows, and then when they come back once again they take the attendance to see that all the cows are back. And the cows respond to that attendance. That's the beauty. So they are such intelligent living beings that they respond to the attendance. We don't respond. When I take attendance in my office, because I'm working as a teacher in the university, I take the attendance with great difficulty. The students respond. Yes, yes. But here cows, they respond so beautifully. Yeah, thank you. Any other question or a comment? Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. It's a very nice devotional discussion, and there's a nectar of devotion is coming out through your discussion or discourse. Now, the divine play of Sri Krishna in every walk of our life, or we can say that now you are describing this through the cows, the 900,000 cows that he used flute and then they come. Even with this flute, the mother cows, the milk also come out with the devotion. Now, servicing to a cow with some grass or something, it is also a very a part of or integral part of devotional activities that you are saying. So how we can rise this kind of devotional nectar or feelings inside us, that okay, we are feeding the cow. Because I was in Mayapur, I see many devotees, they are also feeding the cows, and you have to pay some contribution to serve the cow. Can you enlighten in that part, that how we can increase this kind of nectar of devotion through servicing cow? Thank you.
First hear that this is devotional service. Hear from a person who is performing that activity. Hear from a person who has that conviction. Hear from a person who has developed that conviction by hearing from Vedic scripture. So when you are in touch with such a person, you get that conviction. And when you get that conviction, you do that activity. If you don't have conviction or if you don't develop that faith, you will not do that activity. So be in the association of a person who has that faith. You will get it automatically.
Thank you.
So here we have devotees like Keshav Prabhu who are in Hare Krishna Valley. They are doing wonderful service there. And equally we have Neha Mataji and Gaurav Prabhu. Please visit their farm and see how well they are taking care of cows. You can imagine that jewelers have become farmers. Jewelers have become farmers now. Yeah, their main business was jewelry, and now they have become, they've started Ahimsa milk, they've become farmer. They're tending cows. And how did they get that faith? Just by hearing to the instruction of their Gurudev. Their Gurudev gave the instruction, you do this service to Srila Prabhupada. They said yes. So we should have that faith in the spiritual master. There is an interesting pastime when this is from Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya was on one side of the river, and the other side of the river where they were his disciples. And the river was raging with lot of turbulence. And Shankaracharya tells the disciples, walk through the water, walk through the river. Nobody did that except one person, one disciple. My Gurudev is calling me, I'm just going. And as he steps into the raging river, at every step there was a lotus leaf below. And he could step onto the lotus leaf and comes to this end. And offers his dandavas to his Gurudev Shankaracharya. So therefore his name became Padmapada.
Yeah, it's a very nice example. In the modern day, in this scientific world, this also is possible if we can reach to that devotional level of spirituality. So how we can propagate this message to our youngster? So if we propagate this message to youngster, they wouldn't accept it. And that is a big challenge for us, and that's why we're losing our next generation in the devotional service.
They will accept provided first we have accepted it. Do we have that conviction? Do we have the conviction, and are we doing the sadhana?
Say from our childhood we are raised in this kind of atmosphere, devotion we saw from our birth. So we have this kind of natural inclination. But due to the Western education and all this culture, so we cannot propagate this message to them.
It comes back to our own purity. To the extent I am pure, to the extent that I want to become an instrument in the hands of my Gurudev, then you will be able to touch the hearts of others. So long I am thinking that I am doing it, you won't touch the hearts of others. Message is very simple. Prabhupada says that become pure. Purity is our force. So we become pure, others will take it. If we don't become pure, others won't take it.
Oh, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Gandhara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatarobhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo.